You're watching That Clone Life. See what happens when we put 8 rapidly aging clones on one abandoned island. Dio loves stalking everyone, and Mamoru can't seem to keep his hands to himself. Minko loves that dank weed. Minamo's always twerking. Zen keeps taking all the old people's pills. And Haruto constantly keeps killing himself. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll get right to the point. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch for future live stream translations. There won't be like a set schedule, so you'll need to follow me on Twitter to get notifications on when I'm going to be streaming. I'll probably post it like 5 hours before I'll start to stream, so everyone can catch up, and it won't be like a complete surprise. And this video is just going to be like a recap for those who don't want to watch 30 hours of translation videos. Because of the recent events, I thought that it'd be a good idea to give a recap, synopsis, quick rundown of the very interesting, compelling plot that Zanki Zero has to offer. I'm going all the way from Prologue, Stage 1, Stage 2, and the little bit of Stage 3 that I played. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Right when you press New Game, you start out in some island, and you see some white figures. After following the figures, you find a machine, and when you start it, tells you to choose your difficulty, and then that's when the story starts. Higurashi Haruto, the protagonist, starts off by saying the date, which is July 8th, 2018, which was also 3 days after the release date. And so Higurashi's up there in Mashido Garden Tower, where he's moping about life, talking about how life is so pretty that it can make him cry, and how he also ruined someone else's life. And so he jumps off. He hears a splash, and then when he wakes up, there's bubbles everywhere, with a man's voice telling him that he's Haruto, that he's an editor and whatnot. And the man says something about lighting up the future, whatever that means. And then we hear the sound of like a video game or something. Higurashi says he recognizes the sound of it, and then there's this light where he's all like, "No!" He then hears a girl calling to him. All of a sudden, he's on a beach. Not just any beach, it's a fucked up beach. There's parts of cities all over. The girl asks him his name, and then she's all like, "Yay, I finally met you." Haruto asks where he is, and then she says, "This is Rubble Island." And then Haruto's all like, "Who is this lost child?" She then says her name is Sachika. Higurashi says that she seems familiar. And then Sachika says that her and the others can't leave the island. Sachika takes us to garage to see the others, in which Higurashi Haruto says it seems familiar to him as well. We find a guy named Dio, who apparently knows our name. We go inside and we see the rest of the people. We get a good feeling of their personality as they greet us and welcome us into their island. Apparently, just like Haruto, they all woke up on the island all of a sudden. Sachika was the first one to wake up on the island, so that makes 8 total people on the island. They say that the island is completely uninhabited. There's no people whatsoever, and it's all ruins. Haruto, however, feels a bit suspicious about everything. Haruto thinks all these people are the ones who kidnapped him, as any sane person would. Then a TV turns on, they make Haruto turn the dial, and then they see some cartoon characters. So these cartoon characters are the ones who guide the game and give orders to everyone, telling them what to do, much like some other mascots. They tell everyone to make a bathroom because they want to help everyone survive, is what they say. They also mention that we're apparently the only people left of humanity. And every time the characters switch off, they say like a catchphrase that's similar to what the guy said after Higurashi fell off the building. And all of this, of course, confuses Higurashi, and he's all like, "Who the hell am I supposed to believe?" And so they show Higurashi that each one of them have an X mark shape on their belly button. Sachika, the blonde girl, has one too, but you can't see it because she has a dress and they would be showing her panties. And then everyone starts theorizing and wondering who could have done this. And the muscle guy says that maybe it's all just a reality TV show and that the X mark keys are all used to keep track of them. The characters in the Extend TV show also said that the X mark keys are special powers to help them survive. And so everyone goes their separate ways in order to complete the mission that was given to them by the TV. And so this is the part where you go around and you can meet all the characters. And this part we're meeting Ryo Mikajime. He calls himself a bondage artist. There's not much else I can say about that other than he is like he sounds. And then we meet two other characters, the thick girl and the muscle dude. The muscle dude is actually a doctor, and he has a bit of a weird personality. He keeps talking about love and stuff, and he gets really weird with it. He's kind of like the dad of the group, always looking out for everyone. He also says he wants to be a pediatrician, which is like dealing with kids. So he gets made fun of by everyone else a lot. And then we have the thick girl. Her name is Mashiro Yuma. Apparently the Mashiro name is going to be very important to this plot because it gets brought up a lot. Mashiro is apparently a big company that deals with like every sort of business, sort of like Google or Amazon, stuff like that. So she's pretty important, and it's really weird that an important person like her would go missing all of a sudden. And then we have Suzuki no Rinko, the cute girl who doesn't have much of a personality, not anything that's too outstanding or outlandish. She's a pretty basic. She seems pretty smart though. The topic that you talk about with her is whether or not they actually are the final survivors of humanity. Everyone else seems to think that it's all just a show, but Rinko is the only one who thinks about whether or not the words that Extend TV said are true or not. Could they have? Is this actually the apocalypse? Is this in the future? These are the questions that she's asking. No one else is asking these kind of questions. And then we move on to Sachika, who is sitting down writing blueprints for a bathroom, which Haruto can't even understand what they're saying. Apparently she's not such a dumb blonde. And after a little while, she starts getting weird and her eyes change color. Haruto said he was worried about Sachika's prosthetic arms and legs getting damaged by being outside and stuff. And then Sachika says she'll return kindness with kindness, and then does this. She shows that she has a different X mark key than everyone else. She says that this is the Sachika that everyone forgot about. Then Ryo and Rinko show up. They tell us, and Sachiko goes back to normal. We're made to help them with the bathroom, and they tell us to go look for Zen and Minamo. So we meet up with them, and they found a goat, and Zen is more than happy to kill it in order for food. So we beat it with a stick, and then we go back to the garage where we build the bathroom. Then there's a TV announcement that tells us our new mission. Mirai the sheep says that clones can come back to life with their X mark keys on their belly button. The mission is that one person has to make a clone of themselves. However, in order to make a clone, the X mark key needs to come off. But if the X mark key comes off, you die. But if you die, the X mark key comes off as well. They don't really say why you need the X mark key. All that we know is that someone needs to die in order to complete the mission. And so everyone ignores it and decide to have goat for dinner. And while everyone's having a nice dinner, Zen tries to kill himself in order to complete the mission, but Minamo stops him. Then everyone goes to sleep. Early next morning, an island mysteriously washes up next to Rubble Island. Everyone decides to check out the island for different reasons. Haruto's reason is because he sees a building that looks exactly like the one he jumped off of the Mashido Garden Tower building. Haruto explains this to Rinko, however, she really does not want to accept that as fact. Higurashi seems to accept the fact that the world could have ended, but this really angers Rinko. They go inside the building and Higurashi talks about how this looks just like his workplace. Rinko becomes distraught and has a mental breakdown at the fact that humanity could have actually perished. Everyone does their best to calm her down and agrees with her that no, everything could actually be a set. And just as everyone's spirits get back up, a monster appears behind Rinko. All of a sudden, a tentacle pierces through her. The tentacle went through Rinko and through Higurashi. Right as Higurashi is about to die, he notices something happening to Rinko. She begins to disintegrate with white lights all around her. He hears a splash just like when he died the first time at the beginning of the game. He wakes up in the garage with Sachika asking for his name. Higurashi remembers his name and he is in the body of a child as well. And then the absolutely Kino opening movie starts playing. Right after the opening movie, Mirai explains how to create a clone. They show us a commercial about some new form of technology that can create clones. It's called the Extend Machine, and the clones are made by having dead people's X-mark keys be put into the machine, and then their clones come out as their child selves. Mirai says this is the machine of miracles that God created. Everyone can come back to life as many times as they want if their X-mark keys make it back to the machine. Everyone's surprised that it actually worked, and Mamoru checks him to see that he's an actual healthy little boy. Haruto asks how he came back to life, and then everyone says they found an X-mark key among their corpses, which weren't actual corpses. It was actually white sand among their clothes. Haruto can't even believe that what he's listening to is actually what happened. Sachika suggests that he tries it out for himself, and they hand him Rinko's X-mark key. But before that, they give him some clothes that they found inside the drawer of the Extend machine. Apparently there's clothes for everyone there with their names on it, and even Sachika found her sheep bag inside the Extend machine as well. You get a tutorial on how to use the Extend machine, and then you extend Rinko. They give Rinko her pair of clothes, and she finds a card that says Manny in there, like an identification card or something. Zen freaks her out when he asks her if she remembers being killed. They explain to her the whole clone business, and then the TV turns on. The sheep tells us that we need score in order to create our clone bodies. She says that the Extend machine isn't complete yet, and their next mission is to find parts for it in the Mashido Garden Tower, the tower that they were just at, where they were killed. Everyone has an argument about how they're not gonna go, but eventually they do. When you step into that island again, there's a poem that starts playing. As they go through the beach, they find a TV and it turns on, with the cartoon characters telling them that the clones have a rapid aging process. They get back to where Rinko and Haruto died and see that there really isn't much left from their corpses. They also see that the monster is gone as well. They appoint Haruto as the leader because this is his workplace. And right as they step into the door, Haruto and Mamoru suddenly collapse in pain. Apparently they immediately go through a rapid aging process. They talk about how Mamoru and Minamo were both the ones who arrived very early to the island. Maybe that's why they age faster than everyone else. However, they find out that Sachika has not aged at all, even though she was the first one, making her more suspicious than she already is. They dig around and Haruto finds that the latest newspaper is like 1 month after his last memory. After going through a bit of the dungeon, we find a TV. It turns on and it shows the cartoon character Show that found a VHS tape called Sloth Number 1, The Beginning. In that video, it shows Haruto when he's about to be part of the Mashido Editing Publication Bureau. His boss tells him to write like a couple of projects. Haruto writes something about poverty among women. His boss says that that'll be a hit among the middle-aged readers. He says some weird perverted shit about how like there's male readers who won't give a shit about anything else except for like young women. After the video's finished, the cartoon characters start saying that there are videos all around the ruins like that, which are called like strategy guide videos or something like that. After the video's over, everyone talks about the video. Haruto says that conversation actually did happen. He does remember that conversation happening. Everyone is confused as to what their intention is by showing that video and how they even recorded that. The next TV show thing, it says that there's creatures that look like humans that are wandering around the ruins. They say that they failed to become human or something like that. And they'll attack all the people for their X mark keys for some reason. And then they show us the second sloth video. In this video, Haruto goes to talk with a single mother about how hard it is to raise a child with being poor. She says she doesn't want any personal information or her face to be shown on the article whatsoever because she is divorced and she doesn't want her husband to find her. And her ex-husband seemed to be a domestic abuser. While Haruto is editing the article, his boss shows up and asks to see a photo of her. The chief editor gets angry when he hears that Haruto promised not to put her face on the article. The editor-in-chief says that it won't be a good article unless he can tell if the woman is hot or not. Eventually, the chief editor says that it's fine. As they're going through the ruins, all of a sudden, Haruto remembers the wife and kid, and it causes Haruto to become a little bit shaken. And then Mamoru listens to his heartbeat and notices that it's going very fast. The entire group notices that the video is taking a very great toll on Higurashi. Higurashi says that it is true that he did write an article about a single mother and stuff. While they're talking, they hear some weird noises, like a person, and then it shows up. He keeps saying something like, "Chief editor, there's a call waiting on line 3. Higurashi thinks that it may have been one of his co-workers. They all realize that it's not exactly like the monster that killed both Higurashi and Rinko. It's a completely different one. But they say that the tentacle looks very similar. After a while, we find the third video. The single mother's photo is shown on the magazine. Haruto angrily asks the editor-in-chief why the photo of the single mother is on the magazine. The editor-in-chief says he doesn't know anything about it and says that it's fine because there's a eye sensor over her eyes. The chief editor says this is a good opportunity and it'll make the magazine sell better because you can see that she's hot. And then the chief editor gets a call saying that the husband broke into the single mother's house and took the child hostage. Then the wife retaliated with a knife. Then we cut to a scene where they go to a higher up person's office and the chief editor shifts the blame onto Haruto, where he gets fired. Apparently it seems that the husband was able to fight back against the wife and then kill her again, and he pled self-defense or something like that. Later, after searching around in the ruins, they find that same magazine inside of the chief editor's desk. Haruto begins blaming himself for the death of that woman. Everyone tries to cheer him up, telling him that he was just doing his job and that it wasn't his fault. Mamoru tries to tell Haruto that there's nothing to atone for since everyone is already dead, and that he should worry about atoning for his sins after he finds the truth. He then shows him that there was another picture inside of the chief editor's desk without the censor bar, meaning that the chief editor was somehow involved in putting the photo inside of the magazine without the wife's consent. Everyone thinks that the chief editor must have gotten the data from the cameraman that took the photo of the wife. After searching through the ruins, we find the fourth video. We see Higurashi packing up his things after getting fired as he talks with the chief editor. Higurashi swears that it wasn't him and asks the chief editor if it was him who did it. The chief editor only refuses and says that Higurashi was the only one in charge of the article. The chief editor talks down to Higurashi, telling him that he's the black sheep. And then we see Higurashi on the roof, contemplating life, as he gets messages from his college friends asking him about what happened. Higurashi says he has nowhere else to go now, and then he jumps off. After the video is over, the cartoon characters start talking about how there's a boss guarding the machine parts that they're after. We find the boss, and it looks like the one that killed both Higurashi and Rinko. The boss is, of course, the editor-in-chief, and the tentacle that killed both Rinko and Higurashi is actually his tie. Higurashi says a cool line like, "I'm here to fire you now." And so we beat him with a stick. The cartoon characters don't say much after you defeat the boss. They just say good job and don't forget about the parts inside of the building. You retrieve a D button from the broken extend machine and you immediately go back to the garage. They put the button into the extend machine and it immediately starts updating. And then they decide to have a barbecue as a way to celebrate. While everyone is celebrating, Zen goes off by himself and Haruto goes to talk to him. After a little bit of chit-chat, Zen asks Haruto what does he think about the weird girl. That's what he calls Sachika. Haruto thinks it's odd that she's the only one that doesn't experience the rapid aging. Zen mentions that her limbs don't grow back when she gets cloned, her prosthetic limbs, and that she also has a different X mark key. Haruto asks Zen why he's telling him all this. Zen says that maybe the creator of the extend machine is among the group. Zen mentions to Haruto that there may be a liar among the group, and then he leaves. Haruto, thinking about what Zen told him, begins to think that this is the work that he's always wanted. He says that he wants to grasp the truth in order to protect everyone, and then starts laughing all of a sudden. Everyone goes to check up on Haruto, but nothing happens. And then, from far away, Zen says to himself that what he thought was right, that person really is suspicious. We don't know who he's actually talking about. And that ends the first stage. Stage 2 starts out with Zen complaining that you can't choose where you live. He says you can't choose your family or the people you live with in an abandoned island. He says that someone like him who's been dealt a bad hand can only wait and wait until he can strike, even if it means going down with them. Zen wakes up in his room all sweaty, thinking that he had a bad dream, and then he goes off to the water tower to wash himself off. There he meets Haruto, and the game shows you that the protagonist has changed in each chapter. Haruto tells Zen not to mention that there might be a liar among the group, because he's worried that everyone will become paranoid of each other. Zen, however, doesn't feel like complying with that. He was planning on revealing the liar to everyone in just a few moments. Everyone is gathered at the garage, and it apparently seems that the Extend TV show hasn't turned on ever since they gotten the parts from the Mashido Garden Tower. There's apparently 5 more missing parts in the Extend machine. Everyone thinks that they might be inside the Mashido Garden Tower, underground, or maybe in some other ruins. There are a lot of ruins all over the ocean around the Rubble Island. However, they say that it would be impossible to search through them because they're so far away. And then Zen mentions that the Mashido family might be behind everything because all the ruins have been doing with the Mashido family. Zen says that they are on Mashido City, and the Mashido Garden Tower was part of the Mashido group. He thinks that Yuma is the most suspicious because her last name is Mashido. Right as Zen is about to argue with Yuma, the TV turns on, and the Extend TV show starts playing. The Extend TV show characters mention that the next few missions will be about obtaining parts, and that a new ruin has washed up, and that the parts are waiting for them there. They're ruins with lots of nature. The ruin is called Monkey Mountain Treehouse Village. It seems that none of the people know about it, or at least no one is saying that they know about it. They quickly dismiss that Mashido group has anything to do with it because it looks so out of city, or it doesn't look like something that Mashido would do business with. As they enter, Zen says that everything feels so familiar to him and that he remembers it. All of a sudden, Dinko mentions that she saw this place in TV and that it was a vacation resort. Dinko says it has nothing to do with her, and everyone wonders who this place would be for or what it has to do with anyone here. We find a TV and they show us that they have a new strategy guide video called Wrath Number 1. This video is about Zen's family moving in with their grandparents. Zen shows an interest in helping out in the fields as a farmer. When Zen's grandparents ask his parents what they're doing for work, they say that they're working for the Monkey Mountain Treehouse Village Resort. The grandfather mentions that he sold that land to the Mashido group. Everyone asks Zen why he didn't mention that the Monkey Mountain Treehouse Village didn't have anything to do with him, and so Zen gets a little bit angry and decides to go off on his own. After a while, he finds a TV and it starts playing the second tape of Wrath. In this video, Zen's father tells him that Zen's mom hasn't returned from work yet, that she might be working overtime, and Zen's dad is very busy, so Zen's dad tells Zen that he should go pick his mom up by himself. When Zen arrives at the Monkey Mountain Treehouse Village, he sees 2 monkeys breathing heavily, 2 monkeys that look like his mom and grandfather. The grandfather monkey threatens the mom monkey that he'll tell her husband that her child is the grandfather's child, basically meaning that Zen's grandpa and mom are his parents, basically meaning that Zen's grandpa and mom are his parents. Zen breaks the TV in a fit of rage and assumes that no one else saw the video and that it was only him, and he was relieved to know that no one else will see it. After a while, Zen meets up with the rest of the group. Everyone tells Zen that they need to work together because it's safer that way. However, Zen retaliates and says that he doesn't trust any one of them. He complains that they don't know him or what kind of person he is. Suddenly, Yuma says that she knows that he is the son of her mom and grandpa. Zen is shocked, but they tell him that the Extent TV show played the video over all the other TVs. Haruto somehow convinces Zen that they need to work together. Zen says he has no other choice and goes along with them. After a while, they find the third Wrath tape. In this video, there is a funeral being held for Zen's grandma. However, because of the revelation that Zen just found out that he is his grandfather and mom's son, he is not related to his grandma after all. Therefore, he doesn't know how to feel about her death. He says his grandma is a complete stranger to him now, and begins to feel sick at the thought of what he learned. He also realizes that he isn't much of a relative to his own brother. After Zen's grandpa or father starts talking, he begins to feel even worse. Zen thinks that this whole family is just a whole bunch of monkeys pretending to be a family. And then the video ends. And then the Mirai, the sheep, says that the boss will always be shown inside of the strategy guide videos. Later, we immediately find the fourth Wrath video. This one shows Zen abusing his mother, asking her who his father is. Is it a person or a monkey? Her mom says that they're not in that kind of relationship anymore, and that he needs to keep it a secret from his father. This only makes Zen more angry and abuses her even more. And then it cuts to Zen, much older, still holding those awful feelings towards his mom. And then it cuts to Zen, much older, still holding those awful feelings towards his mom. Zen's mom says, "Sorry, there's no more money left." And then Zen's all like, sorry, that's all you say." And then Zen's dad barges in. Zen's dad asks him why he's doing this kind of thing, but Zen doesn't answer. Zen's grandpa barges in as well, saying that they can hear their fighting from outside. Zen wonders if he should just reveal everything right there and put an end to the charade of a family, but he doesn't. Everyone stops and asks Zen how he's feeling, and everyone is worried about him, but Zen only ignores everyone and says that he's fine. Zen tells Yuma that he's sorry that he's not reacting as the way she expected him to react. Zen is implying that Yuma is the one who set up all these videos in order to watch Zen break down. Mamoru tells Zen that he should put those emotions towards the Mashido group and not towards Yuma Mashido. However, Zen questions why the daughter of the only Mashido leader would be in the game. Zen says that Yuma's dad must be an absolute scumbag if he would to put his own daughter into the game. Zen mentions that he doesn't like the way Yuma looks, and then he says that perhaps her father didn't love her enough. This makes Yuma show emotion that she usually doesn't show, and tells him to shut up. Zen asks her if it's her dad who's pulling the strings behind this whole game. However, Yuma returns to her composure and simply answers that her dad died a long time ago, specifically 3 days before Yuma arrived at the Rubble Island. Haruto says that he knows that what he's feeling must be really hard, and that he doesn't know how hard it must be. But Haruto tells Zen not to take it out on everyone else. Higurashi tries to console Zen and try to relate and sympathize with his feelings. However, Zen tries to say that those words won't work on him and that Higurashi is just wasting his breath. After a while, we find the 5th Wrath video, something about marriage. Zen's brother was out at college and he finally came back home to find out about the trouble that Zen has been causing around the house. They instead shift the topic onto the wife of Zen's brother. The whole family is proud of Zen's brother having a good wife, and the grandpa says that she can think of it as her own home as she lives with everyone else here in Zen's grandpa's house. Zen's brother's wife mentions that she always wanted to have a little brother and tells Zen that he can call her One-san. Zen, however, says that he won't be a very good little brother. Everyone apologizes, saying that he used to be a good kid. However, Rumiko, Zen's brother's wife, says that she wants to get along well with him. Zen says that it's hard to be around the house with Zen's brother and his wife, Rumiko, always there. Zen's brother's wife, Rumiko, tries to talk to Zen and be friendly with him, but Zen says that it's not a family and that his brother is his uncle or something like that. He says that the whole family's messed up, but after a while he says it was just a joke. Rumiko, however, believes him. Rumiko says she believes him because Zen looks like he's about to cry. Rumiko says that she'll be a good big sister for him. In a few short steps, we find the 6th video of Wrath. Rumiko asks Zen how college is going, however Zen says he doesn't want to go. Rumiko asks if he wouldn't like to get out of the house or do something else other than farming. After a little bit of while, Zen considers it and thinks that it's a good idea. Zen considers that leaving the household and starting a field somewhere else would be much better. There's a bit of a time skip where it shows Zen's mom and dad proud of him for going to college and are very happy to see how much he changed. Zen says that it's all thanks to Rumiko for helping him get through everything and going to college. Zen says that he brought a souvenir for her and asks where she is. They tell Zen that Rumiko went to the Treehouse Village Resort in order to pick something up. Zen freaks out and asks where his grandpa is. Zen's dad says he hasn't seen his grandpa anywhere, and the video cuts off there. After a while, we find the 7th Wrath video right before we're at the machine parts for the extend machine. In this video, Zen hears voices. He hears his grandpa's voice teasing someone and saying that he likes the young ones better or something like that. And then Zen barges in with a shovel asking his grandpa what he's doing with Rumiko. Right as Zen is about to beat his grandpa, Rumiko steps in front of him. Zen's grandpa says that Zen is misunderstanding everything, that Zen's mom and Zen's brother's wife became Zen's grandpa's belongings by their own will, that Zen's brother's wife, Rumiko, had a debt, and he made her become Zen's brother's wife in order to have her become his property in order to pay the debt that she owes Zen's grandpa. Zen's grandpa tries to make a deal with Zen and tries to get him in on the action or something like that, but Zen refuses and lashes out with violence. Cut to a little bit of time skip, and the whole family is angry at Zen because Rumiko's arm is broken, and they all blame him they all blame Zen for it, and Zen can't say a word about the truth. Zen's grandpa offers to inherit everything to Zen as his heir. However, Zen refuses, and saying he'll never, even if he dies, he'll never accept it. Zen tells Rumiko that he's quitting college and that he's going to go find somewhere to start a field. Zen says that he actually has freedom, unlike Rumiko. Before Zen leaves, he has a little monologue saying that she always had a disgusting smile on her face, or something like that. And then the Wrath video ends. We finally get to the boss, and of course it's none other than Zen's grandpa. Zen says that he's more than happy enough to kill him. And we do just that. We find the C button now for the extend machine, and we go back to base. Not much happens. There's no celebration or anything. They just put the thing on the machine and everyone goes to sleep. While Zen is staring out into the sky, all of a sudden Yuma shows up. She asks Zen if he's satisfied for killing the father that he's wanted to kill. Zen says he doesn't feel anything, no sin or happiness, just emptiness in his heart. Zen says he feels like there's less weight on him now, though. Yuma looks a bit surprised at first, but then she says that the way he looks at it is just like Zen. Yuma says she asked because she wanted to know how ordinary children think of their fathers. Zen says he apologizes for what he told to Yuma back in the ruins when he said her dad doesn't love her. However, Yuma says she doesn't mind because it couldn't be helped because of the way the situation is. And then Zen says that Yuma's smile reminds her of the smile of his sister-in-law. Zen says that Yuma's smile is as disgusting as his sister-in-law's smile. That looks like she's getting off on being the victim. And then Yuma has one more question. She asks Zen why his family moved into the countryside in the middle of nowhere with his grandpa. Zen says he doesn't remember anything from when he was a little kid. He says probably because there wasn't any problems that he didn't worry about it, and that's why he doesn't remember anything about it. Zen says he doesn't remember anything before moving in with his grandpa. Yuma thanks Zen for answering her questions and then goes back to her room. But before that, Yuma says, "Zen, you look like you're gonna cry," which was a line that his sister-in-law said in the Wrath videos. Zen thinks that this is her way of paying him back. And apparently it looks like Minamo was listening in, and Minamo mentions that she's surprised that Zen doesn't remember his childhood either. Minamo implies that she doesn't remember her childhood as well. And that's it for stage 2. Anyways, I can't talk about stage 3 here on YouTube because I'm too scared about getting a copyright strike. So you can see the rest of stage 3 on Twitch. See you then. Thanks for watching. Bye.